Listen, there's a kind of war out here that don't make no noise. No fist thrown, no blood spilled, no marks left on the skin, but it leaves a man scarred in places nobody can see. That's the kind of warfare I'm talking about. The silent kind. The one that lives in your mind when love start turning into control. When your peace start feeling like a crime and when you start questioning yourself instead of questioning the situation. See, most men ain't built to recognize it. We raised to eat pain, to keep moving no matter what. We taught that if it don't bleed, it don't hurt. But that's the trap, homie. That's how the silent warfare gets you. It creeps in slow, real subtle, until you can't even tell where your strength went. You start apologizing for things you didn't do, start walking on eggshells in your own space, start feeling like you the problem when all you did was love too hard. This ain't about hate nobody, it's about seeing the game for what it is. Some people master emotional warfare. They don't yell, they don't hit, they manipulate. They'll make you feel guilty for speaking up, for needing peace, for wanting respect. They'll twist your words, flip your intentions, and before you know it, you start doubting your own truth. That's the battlefield right there. Not the streets, not the world, but inside your own head. You ever been in a situation where you're trying to explain yourself, but somehow you end up apologizing? That's psychological warfare. When someone can make you question your reality so deep that you start second guessing your worth. They take your kindness and call it weakness. They take your silence and fill it with their story. And the worst part, you start believing them. Real talk. It's a system, a quiet one. And men get caught in it because we don't talk about pain. We talk about grinding, hustling, surviving, but not about how it feels to be slowly drained from the inside. We get told, man up when we break, stay strong when we cry, move on when we hurt. But strength ain't about staying silent. It's about seeing the truth and standing on it, even when it's uncomfortable. They say love's supposed to heal, not harm. But when love starts feeling like confusion, when it starts sounding like manipulation dressed up as care, that's when you gotta open your eyes. You can't fight a silent war with silence. You fight it with awareness, with self-respect, with distance if you gotta, because peace is worth more than any relationship built on control. And don't get it twisted. This ain't about women versus men. It's about energy. It's about people who use emotion like a weapon and people who get caught in the line of fire because their heart too pure. The world don't teach men how to protect their spirit, only their body. But you gotta learn to guard your mind the same way you guard your name. If you ever feel like you losing yourself trying to keep someone else happy, that's your wake-up call. Because once they get inside your head, they don't need to raise their voice, they already won. You'll start arguing with yourself, defending what's breaking you, and calling that loyalty. But that ain't loyalty, that's self-destruction wearing a disguise. So what do? You rebuild, you learn, you unlearn. You stop explaining your word to people who only understand control. You take your silence back, but this time, it ain't fear, it's power. You use that quiet to heal, to think, to grow. Because once a man wakes up to how deep this game runs, he can't be played the same way again. That's the real revolution, not fighting back with hate, but refusing to be controlled. Not seeking revenge, but seeking peace. The kind of peace that don't depend on who stay or who leave. The kind that come from knowing you've seen the battlefield, walked through the fire, and still kept your soul intact. This silent warfare. It ends when you stop letting people rent space in your mind for free. When you realize your heart ain't a playground for someone else's insecurities. When you understand that love without respect is just manipulation in disguise. So protect your energy, King. Guard your spirit. Move with purpose, not pain. Because the loudest battles ain't always the realest ones. Sometimes it's the quiet wars that decide who you really are. Let me break this down real clear. There's a war going on against masculine energy, and most people don't even see it. It ain't the kind of war you fight with fists or guns. It's mental, emotional, spiritual. They trying to make men forget who they are, what they built, and what they stand for. The world been feeding men this message that being masculine is wrong, that strength is toxic, that leadership is control. But that's real masculinity ain't about domination. It's about direction, discipline, and protection. Somewhere along the line, they flipped the script. They told men to sit down, to quiet their power, to stop leading with confidence. And when you take that away from a man, you take away his foundation. You see, masculine energy ain't aggression, it's purpose. It's structure. It's the fire that turns chaos into progress. But now, the moment a man shows that energy, the world call him dangerous, hard, cold. They tell him to soften up, to tone it down, to apologize for what he was born to be. And that's where the confusion begins. Men grow up not knowing how to be men anymore. They scared to speak up because they don't want to be labeled, scared to lead because they don't want to offend, scared to love strong because they don't want to be seen as controlling. So what happens, they shrink, they play small, they hide their light behind words like sensitivity and balance, but deep down they're suffocating because they were never meant to dim that glow. This system don't want strong men, it wants solid ones, because strong men build families, they build nations, they protect truth. A solid man, though, he's easy to control. He doubts himself, he looks for validation, he bends to every emotional storm around him. That's the plan, homie. Keep men disconnected from their essence. Keep them weak, and you control the next generation without even touching them. Look around, they clown men for expressing discipline, they shame them for holding standards, they cancel them for speaking that truth. But you know what's crazy? That same energy they hate, they still depend on, they still need it when things fall apart, when protection is required, when leadership's necessary. They just want it quiet, invisible until they can use it. That's psychological warfare, and too many brothers fall for it. But real masculine energy don't need validation. It don't chase acceptance. It stands firm. It moves with purpose, even when misunderstood. A real man ain't out here trying to prove his power. He's building with it. He's grounded in who he is. He knows that his role ain't to control nobody but himself, his emotions, his habits, his vision. That's power right there. Man, gotta wake up to this for real. Because the moment you forget who you are, the world will rewrite you. You'll start apologizing for your nature, begging for permission to exist, waiting for people to approve your strength. But you don't need permission to be what you were created to be. You just need to remember that everything around you was built off that same energy they now call dangerous. And to my brothers out there, understand this. The world ain't gonna hand you peace. You gotta create it. You gotta build a mindset so strong that no opinion can shake it. You gotta know when to be firm and when to be still. Because being masculine don't mean you loud, it means you grounded. It means when chaos comes, you don't fold, you focus. You lead yourself before you lead anybody else. And yeah, there's gonna be people who don't understand that. They're gonna call you arrogant, detached, unemotional. Let them talk, because they don't know the cost of composure. They don't know what it takes to hold it together when life testing you every day. That calmness, that discipline, that control, that's masculine energy in motion. See, the attack ain't really about destroying men. It's about destroying balance. Because when masculine energy fades, so does structure. Society crumbles when men stop standing on truth. So this ain't just about protecting your identity. It's about protecting order, protecting purpose, protecting legacy. So to every man listening, don't let this world retard you. Don't let trends or noise trick you into thinking your strength is something to hide. Walk tall, speak truth, move with honor, be gentle where it matters and unshakable where it counts. The world need that energy, real, balanced, focus. The kind that don't break under pressure. The kind that builds generations. The kind that don't beg to be understood. It just exists, solid, unmovable. They can attack it all they want, but real masculine energy, it never dies, it evolves, it learns, it rises again every time they try to bury it. Hey, let's talk about one of the coldest games played in silence, gaslighting and emotional blackmail. That's the kind of control that don't come with chains, but it still locks you up. It don't use hands, but it still hits you deep. It's when somebody learns how to twist your reality until you can't even trust your own thoughts. You start feeling crazy, guilty, confused, all while thinking it's your fault. That's how they win. They don't need to fight you. They just make you fight yourself. See, gaslighting is a mind game. It's when someone makes you question your memory, your feelings, your perception. They'll say, you're overreacting, or that never happened, or you're too sensitive. And it sounds small, but when it happens over and over, it breaks you down slow. You start second guessing everything. You start wondering if maybe they're right. Maybe you are the problem. That's how the trap gets set, not with power, but with doubt. And emotional blackmail, that's when they use your heart as a weapon against you. They know what you love, what you care about, what makes you soft, and they use it to control your moves. They'll say, if you love me, you do this. Or they'll threaten to walk away, disappear, take your piece if you don't play by their rules. That's not love. That's control dressed up as connection. That's emotional warfare in disguise. What's cold about it is how invisible it looks from the outside. To everyone else, everything seems fine. No arguments, no fights. But inside, you're being drained. Your confidence gets chipped piece by piece. You can't even speak your truth without feeling like you gotta defend it. You start apologizing just to keep the peace, not even realizing that the peace you're protecting ain't real. It's manipulation. People who gaslight and emotionally blackmail, they feed off control. They get stronger every time you doubt yourself. They'll hurt you, then make you feel bad for calling it out. They'll disrespect you, then flip it like you provoked it. They play the victim so smooth that you end up comforting them for the pain they caused you. That's the game. Confusion is their weapon and guilt is their leash. And men fall for it because we ain't taught to see it. We taught to look out for physical pain, not psychological damage. Nobody tells you how to recognize when someone's playing with your mind. You think you're being strong by staying quiet, by holding it down, but that silence becomes your cage, because the more you suppress, the deeper it eats at you. And before you know it, you don't even recognize yourself. You stop speaking up because it only leads to arguments. You stop expressing your needs because they make you feel guilty for having them. You stop dreaming because all your energy going into keeping them happy. That's what emotional blackmail does. It drains your soul until you forget you had one. But let me tell you this, real love don't need to control you. Real love don't punish you for telling your truth. If somebody got to manipulate your emotions to keep you around, they don't love you, they own you. And that's not partnership, that's imprisonment. You can't heal in a place that keeps gaslight in your pain. You can't grow next to someone who keeps shrinking your reality. So what do? You start paying attention. Watch how people respond when you express boundaries. Watch how they act when you need space. If they guilt trip you, if they twist your words, if they use love as leverage, that's your sign. You don't argue with manipulation, you detach from it. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding. You reclaim your power by walking away from the confusion. And yeah, it hurts, because the same person who breaks you, often the same one who made you feel seen once. If the pain got purpose, homie, it's the teacher that shows you for you and it was using you. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Once you name the manipulation, it loses its grip. You got to remind yourself, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not unworthy. You just got played by someone who mastered emotional strategy. But you ain't broken, you just woke up. Now you know what to look for, what to protect, what to never settle for again. Gaslighting and emotional blackmail might break your trust in others, but let it rebuild your trust in yourself. Let it sharpen your instincts, because once you learn to recognize that energy, you move different. You talk different, you love different. You stop letting people rewrite your story. You take your power back, quiet, confident, unshakable. And that's when the game changes. Because a man who's learned to see through manipulation can't be fooled again. He's not angry, he's aware. He's not bitter, he's focused. And awareness, that's freedom. See, awareness, that's the real power right there. Not money, not fame, not muscles, not status. Awareness. Because when you're aware, you can't be played. You can't be moved by illusions or fooled by sweet words. Awareness is when your eyes open and you start seeing things for what they are, not what you wish they'd be. And that's when life really starts to shift. Most people walk around sleeping with their eyes open. They chase validation. They believe what they're told. They follow the crowd because it's easier than facing truth. But awareness, it don't come easy. It comes through pain, betrayal, disappointment. All them nights you sat in silence, questioning everything you thought you knew. Awareness is born from the times you had to rebuild yourself from nothing. When you start waking up, the world around you don't change, you do. You start realizing how many lies people live by. You start seeing how manipulation hides behind smiles, how fear hides behind control, how weakness hides behind pride. And the more you see, the harder it gets to unsee. That's the price of awareness. You lose your comfort, but you gain your clarity. People scared of awareness because it exposes truth. It don't let you blame nobody else no more. You know, it make you take accountability. It make you ask, what part did I play in this? What energy did I allow? What pain did I keep excusing in the name of love? That's what real growth sound like. It ain't pretty, but it's powerful. See, awareness don't mean you judge people. It means you understand them. You stop taking things personal because you start seeing behavior for what it really is. Projection, insecurity, survival. You start reacting and you start responding. That's when your peace start hitting different. That's when your silence starts speaking louder than any argument could. And when you're aware, you start protecting your space different. You don't chase no more, you attract. You don't explain no more, you observe. You don't beg no more, you build. Because you realize not everyone deserves access to your energy. Awareness teaches you that boundaries ain't walls, they're filters. They keep your peace pure and your vision clear. The moment you become aware, Manipulation loses its power. Gaslighting don't work. Emotional blackmail bounce right off you. You stop letting people define your worth because you already know who you are. Awareness turns you from a victim into a student. Everything that hurts you starts teaching you. Every loss starts shaping you. Every silence starts speaking to you. And let me tell you, awareness don't always feel good. Sometimes it hurts to realize how deep you've been sleeping. It hurt to see who was really with you and who was just using you. But that pain is transformation. It's clarity, burning away, confusion. You gotta let it, because once you step into awareness, there's no going back to ignorance. You can't unlearn the truth. You start seeing patterns in people, in yourself, in life. You start understanding energy like it's language. You start knowing when something feels off, even if it looks right. That's your intuition waking up. And once it's awake, it don't miss. That's power, not the kind that controls others, but the kind that controls you, your emotions, your reactions, your peace. Awareness is freedom. Freedom from the lies you were told about who you're supposed to be. Freedom from the cycles you kept repeating because you never saw the lesson. Freedom from the need to fix people who ain't fixing themselves. It's when you stop trying to change the world and start changing your perception of it, because that's where real power lives, not outside you, but inside. Once you're aware, you stop letting people play on your empathy. You stop overgiving. You stop explaining your worth. You move with quiet confidence because you ain't looking for approval no more. You living in alignment. You understand that everything and everyone got a reason, but not all of them got a place in your life. So yeah, awareness will cost you some relationships, but it'll give you yourself. It'll separate you from people who don't vibrate on your frequency. It'll make your circle smaller, but your peace heavier. And when you finally stand in that truth, when you see life clear without the fog of lies or emotion, that's when you become unstoppable. That's the kind of power you can't fake. It don't need noise. It don't need validation. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the kind of power that makes you walk away from confusion without saying a word. The kind that makes you protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Awareness don't change who you are. It reveals who you've been all along. And once you see that version of yourself, you realize you never needed to be saved. You just needed to wake up. Stand on your value. That's the message. Because once you know what you're worth, you stop begging for what you already deserve. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't see the vision. You stop shrinking yourself to fit in rooms that were never built for you. Standing on your value means you move like you already know the crown you carry. You don't gotta flash it, you don't gotta prove it, you just live it. See, a lot of folks lose themselves because they keep trading their peace for acceptance. They scared to walk alone, so they lower their price just to be chosen. But that's how you end up bankrupt in spirit. Every time you compromise your standards to keep someone close, you pay for it with your energy. And that's too expensive. You can't pour it into people who see you as a convenience, not a commitment. Standing on your value ain't arrogance, it's awareness. It's knowing that your time, your energy, your love, all of that got weight. It's knowing that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. When you move like that, people start treating you different, not because you changed, but because you finally started seeing yourself clearly. There's always gonna be people who don't recognize your worth until you stop showing up for them. That's how it go. You can give your best, stay loyal, stay solid, but some people don't wake up until you're gone. And when they do, they'll call you cold, say you switched up. But really, you just stop discounting yourself. You stop letting people eat off your table who never brought nothing to it. When you stand on your value, you start attracting different energy. You stop chasing validation and start attracting respect. Because the truth is, how you treat yourself teaches people how to treat you. If you act like your time don't matter, they gonna waste it. If you act like your heart ain't valuable, they gonna play with it. But when you move with quiet confidence, when you set boundaries and stick to them, that's when people either rise to meet you or fall away. Either way, you win. Standing on your value also means you stop trying to fix people who refuse to heal. You stop begging folks to see your potential. You realize that not everyone got the capacity to match your energy, and that's okay. Your worth don't decrease just because somebody too blind to see it. You just keep building, keep growing, keep elevating. The right people, the ones on your frequency, they're going to recognize it instantly. But understand this, when you choose to stand on your value, you're going to feel lonely at first. Because when you start demanding respect, the people who fed off your silence going to disappear. The ones who loved your weakness gonna fade when they meet your strength. But don't trip. That space they leave behind, that's room for your blessings to grow. You can't build legacy while doubting your own worth. You can't lead if you keep letting people talk you out of your vision. You gotta stand firm even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're misunderstood. Because growth don't come from being liked, it comes from being solid. Sometimes standing on your value means saying no without explaining it, walking away without guilt, protecting your peace even if it makes people mad. Because every time you say yes to what drains you, you say no to what could build you. You can't elevate if you keep letting people pull you back into old versions of yourself. And don't confuse humility with devaluing yourself. You can be humble and still know you're rare. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can love deep and still protect your heart. Real confidence ain't loud, it's peaceful. It's knowing you don't got to chase what's yours. You just align with it. Standing on your value also means being accountable. You can't expect others to respect what you don't. You got to put in the work, stay consistent, keep your word, and let your actions speak. When you live with integrity, you move different. You ain't pressed to prove nothing. Your presence already say it all. So yeah, stand tall on your value. Don't lower your standards just because someone don't meet them. Don't chase people. Chase purpose. Don't explain your worth. Embody it. When you really know who you are, you stop fighting for attention and start commanding respect. You stop worrying about who stays or leaves because you know you the prize, not the pursuer. Stand on your value like it's the only thing you own, because it is. They can take your time, your money, your opportunities, but they can't take your essence unless you hand it to them. Keep that unshakable. Keep that sacred. Move with peace. Speak with purpose and never let nobody make you forget who you are.